myself and Daniel. So my name is Arunish Salhotra. I'm an investor, do a lot of different things. I have uh, like a small management boutique consulting firm itself. I'm like a founder and CEO for a startup itself, and I'm like participating couple of project within OWASP and couple of other foundation itself. So today I'm representing OWASP AIBOM project itself. That's about me, Dan.
Yeah, Daniel Whitenack. I am founder and CEO at a company called Prediction Guard. My background originally is in physics. I did a PhD in physics and then moved into the data science AI world around 2011, 2012, when data science was getting its rise in popularity, and worked at a couple different startups, did consulting, taught enterprise workshops across industry, and eventually founded Prediction Guard, which is providing a self-hosted AI control plane, which has an integration with an AIBOM capability, which is amazing and is informed by the work that OWASP is doing with the OWASP AIBOM project, which is why we've decided to be involved with that through sponsorship and participation in events like this and other workshops like we'll talk about a little bit later.
Awesome. And I want to actually the conversation to be more focused on the supply chain attack that happened, right? But I think it's important to talk about maybe something personal, like why did I think about starting AIBOM project in the first place itself, right? I think for me, so I used to be a co-chair for CISA in Department of Homeland Security for their SBOM initiative and the SBOM tooling itself. And one particular thing that stood out to me that we always used to talk about, okay, what are the formats, whether it's PDX or Cyclone DX, and what are the tooling which actually can create, and you can actually have a tooling which actually can transform from Cyclone to SPDX and vice versa, right? But one of the major gaps that I always used to actually think about is, how do you operationalize this, right? Yes, you have a SBOM, you might be able to store it in your S3 bucket or maybe your GitHub or some other repository itself, right? But what happens if the next Log4j happens, right? How do you make it actionable itself, right? Do you have a easy way for industry to say, okay, these are all the 100,000 or million SBOM that exists in the industry itself. And if Prediction Guard is selling a solution to me, and if they are obliged to give me SBOM, what kind of legal protection that they have, right? So this is not a problem that we were able to solve in the SBOM space itself, right? And now we are living in the space of AI itself, right? And the same problem is coming on our face back again. And last July, I would say July or August, I was thinking about the same thing itself, right? I think there is a lot of conversation about, Cyclone DX going from 1.6 to 1.7 have a support for ML and AI itself, right? But the major thing that is important for organization or industry is, how do you go from the technical layer and above, right, to operationalize all of this, right? If I'm getting AIBOM, how do I validate that it has been signed by authority? How do I look for quality checks? How do you integrate the threat intel? How do you integrate the policymakers? Who's asking for all this, right? So this kind of prompted me to actually come up with a project itself. I submitted it, got approved, I think sometime in September. And now we are, 8 months, maybe 9 months into the exercise itself. We are kind of working towards 9 different work streams, whether it's on the policy side or it's on the foundational best practices. And recently we also started another work stream, which is the 10th work stream, which is focused on the agentic bill of material. And we can talk about agentic bill of material maybe in next LinkedIn Live, but it's focused on how do you make sense of what the agents are doing, right? Do you have visibility how the agents are being constructed, visibility into the runtime of the agent itself, right? How it's performing, whether it's through observability or identity itself, right? Bringing all those pieces together. But that's again for the next time itself. So that's more on the personal side of what prompted me to start AIBOM. And so we have like 4 sponsors for AIBOM. Prediction Guard is one of our sponsors, and that's why we are here. So let's actually move into the topic for the day itself, right? So Dan, maybe if you want to kick off, talk about the Hugging Face breach itself, how it happened, and maybe we can actually have a discussion. How can organization address or prevent this from happening for their respective organization?
Yeah, just to give a little bit of context for this brief or breach, what happened here was, if you imagine what Hugging Face is for those that aren't familiar, it is a hub of data sets and models for the AI community, similar to maybe what GitHub is for the software industry. And everyone knows you can host anything on GitHub, right? There's problematic things on GitHub, things with vulnerabilities, things with that you should potentially not run on your own machine. And the same would be true for Hugging Face, where I can go and create a Hugging Face account. There's nothing preventing me from uploading things that might have vulnerabilities or problematic runtimes or problematic models, poison models, etc. And so what happened here is there was a bit of a spoofing thing that happened where OpenAI, which obviously would be a recognizable name, has repositories on Hugging Face that, and one of those being a privacy filter model that can help you filter out as a kind of point solution for one of the aspects of guardrailing AI, which is private information moving through an AI runtime. And the attacker created a spoofed repository with a very similar name to that repository, and I think seeded some interest and trending in that repository, and thus got many downloads and likes in a small amount of time. And what actually was included in there was a clone of that privacy filter, but with some additional scripts that would actually compromise your local system and send sensitive data, including cookies and credentials, other things like that, back to the attacker. So that's what happened. This privacy filter, and just to connect it to the AIBOM, like I mentioned, we know as we're protecting AI systems, runtime governance is a piece of that, which means you need to have governance enforcement, and you need to potentially deal with sensitive data going through your system, which means a choice for one of these filters or a choice for a guardrailing point solution might be one of these open source ones for that aspect, right? The privacy filter. So that is a part of the AI system that might support your AI application or your agent, right? And so if you integrated, in this case, if you integrated the wrong one into your supply chain, now all of a sudden your local systems or the host systems wherever your AI system is running is potentially compromised. Now, a build onto this, which even just happened a couple days ago, and we're still learning about it, is how Hugging Face was additionally hacked by an agent that, interestingly enough, was being run by OpenAI. And actually, the agent was able to exploit Hugging Face's infrastructure through infrastructure on OpenAI's side. So it was actually OpenAI's agent. It had access to OpenAI's credentials. And so if we extend the original hack to think about this, we could now not only have a spoofed repository, but we could have an out of control agent that is actually modifying an official OpenAI repository with problematic information like malicious data loaders. And that creates a poison or a vulnerability in your supply chain. So this is what I'm emphasizing is the risk here is expanding before our eyes, day by day, right?
And what you actually mentioned, I think it reminded me of my days looking at email and web proxy days itself, right? I think the age for the domain names is important, right? I think without using the name of the web proxy that we're using, it used to actually look at the age when that particular domain was started. And we had a policy, if it's less than like a month or so, it's going to prevent you to actually go to that particular website because it could be a malicious stuff, right? I think coming back to this one itself, and again, I don't want to put like Hugging Face on the spot on this one, but I think there is a weakness in their algo which talks about how a particular utility or a model or something else is trending itself. Like the likes is fairly easy to manipulate itself, you can actually create like, I think I was reading somewhere around 377 likes or something, or 670. I don't remember the exact number, but I think close to like a 20 short of that number of likes were faked account itself, right? That were created. So I'm pretty sure like there are weaknesses in every platform, right? Hugging Face itself has, because this is not a problem that they ever thought about, right? They always talk about, I'm going to have legitimate users who are uploading like data sets and model itself. They never thought like you can actually use the likes and the number of downloads as a metric so that a particular utility or a model could actually go up in the ranking. And to a novice eye itself, they would say, okay, this seemed like a privacy filter. It's actually trending up. It must be the legitimate one. And you actually download it. And I think like it's the beauty of this particular attack, if I'm thinking of as an hacker right now, with this simple, crafty script, right? And you can actually create that script through Claude itself. You can say, okay, these are the steps I need to follow. You can actually fool all these algorithms, which are well known and well established, right? So typo squatting is fairly common, right? If you talk about Python or NPM, typo squatting is such a common thing, right? And if you believe that, oh, this must be coming from OpenAI, you can actually see, okay, maybe they change the sequencing instead of everything happening through your transformer itself. It actually goes and say, okay, yeah, download this, clone this particular repository and run this batch file or run this particular shell script on your Mac or Linux itself. You can actually go and like bring all these things together and configure, leads that there is like a backdoor that you have created without even realizing there is a back channel that has been created to the command center itself. So I'm like, kudos to again. I think I can probably say that there is some organization in China which was behind this one. It was simple instruction, got so much traction, so much. And if I am remembering the facts right, it's like 250,000 downloads that happened through within that day. And I believe Hidden Layer as a company which actually found this particular thing and it flagged and then it was taken down. But again, the damage was done, right?
Yeah, and like I say, I think this gets even more compounded, and the emphasis on maybe an actionable AI bomb, like you mentioned before, is so important, because in the last few days with the kind of more recent hack, this would actually be flowing through an actual OpenAI repository on Hugging Face and potentially compromise that. So I think where this connects to the AI bomb is, let's say that you have an AI system, and that's the terminology we use in Prediction Guard is you create a AI system which contains the components which are powering your agents, right? That AI system has models, it has MCP servers, it has let's call it utilities, like maybe document structure processing or code execution or web search. And then it has potentially guardrailing or governance enforcement systems. So were you to integrate something like this, I think that the approach that we would say is a few fold. You have to approach the way that you construct this system and you track it through the AIBOM in what we think of as a zero trust manner, meaning you don't just pile a bunch of things together and then list it out. And when something goes wrong, then you try to retrospectively go in and deduce what's going on. You actually want to validate and verify the things that you add into your AI system in a zero trust way. So you're adding those things in only as you verify the risk associated with them. And then I think second to that is, as these dependencies update, right? Like OpenAI updates its repository privacy filter, it's a very good idea for you to, like in our AI bomb or others, I'm sure, as we've been involved in the community, that would have a penned version, maybe a hash, maybe a checksum, where you would actually know the penned version of that component as it comes through. And I think in the actionable sense, you would want to utilize that AIBOM in your updates of your system such that you could put automation, to your point, in the CI/CD pipeline around certain things like, hey, if there's an update to this component, I am not going to suck in the latest until 2 weeks after release date, right? Like that's a very typical thing that you would have in like NPM or other systems for the security side of things. So now you have an AIBOM that includes the actual hashed version, which you're tracking and have verified, and there's an associated risk profile associated with it. You've only brought that in a zero trust way, not just a catch-all. And you implement some automation around that to make sure you're not updating it in a problematic way. We saw the same thing with Claude Code, right? If you happen to be one of those people that downloaded Claude Code within those 3 hours that one night, you got all the IP, but you also got malware. So you just want to be careful about that update scheme as well. And that's information that can be recorded as part of that AIBOM or automated off of the AIBOM.
I think I'm not sure like who all are joining in the LinkedIn Live. I mean, there might be folks who are coming from AppSec background, not truly from a AI background itself. Maybe we can actually give a little color of what the privacy filter is supposed to do and how in application it can be brought in maybe as a initial phase, right? I'm feeding in something, it's going to actually say, okay, if I see some PI information on that, it's going to actually mask and remove it from before it actually goes to the next level of LLM itself, right? So maybe we can take like a practical example of how it might be getting used in an organizations, and maybe then we can actually talk about how solution like Prediction Guard can actually help organization to prevent these kind of attacks itself.
Yeah. So what happens, and I like to break this bucket. I'm simple in my mind, so I have to split things into buckets, right? If you think about a first bucket of supply chain, which means I am assembling all the things I need to run my AI system and my agents, then you're actually going to run those agents, right? Think of that as the runtime bucket, right? And then a third bucket being observability and monitoring. You actually don't just want to run things, you want to run things and know what they're doing, right? So supply chain, runtime, observability, or monitoring, right? So supply chain side, you need to construct the components that can operate your agent. So that includes often a model, it includes MCP servers, it includes the agent harness, etc. During that runtime, when you actually run the agent, data is going to be flowing into the agent. It's going to be pulling data from MCP servers. It's going to be outputting data. And let's say that you're connecting this agent to your SharePoint, or you are processing data from your customers. It's very important for you to know how their private information is getting treated, like names, phone numbers, social security numbers. You would not want that leaked across customer boundaries. You may also not want that going to third-party AI providers. You might not want that recorded into the context of the agents. And so what often happens in the runtime bucket of governance enforcement is that one of the modules amongst many modules you would have would be something related to PII or privacy filtering, which would be an example of what OpenAI published in this repository, where before things get to a model or even an MCP server, let's say you're processing a document, you can actually mask, filter, replace, synthesize private information like names, email addresses, social security number, etc. in that, or you could check it on the output of the models itself. And so that's the enforcement in that runtime, but that means you have a component. So this is connected to the first bucket, right? It's connected to the supply chain. Somehow you have to be running that component. You have to have a version of that component, and that component has to be enforcing at runtime. And so in Prediction Guard, how we think about this is you have to compose that system, and you have to compose the modules of that governance policy. So we think of this as PII, or private information, things like prompt injection, filtering, things like limiting the scope of MCP tool usage, things like toxicity filters or grounding verification, system prompt leakage. There's all sorts of models that could fit there. Each of those is dependent, though, on a component that runs in your system. And so when you print out the AI BOM as a part of Prediction Guard, you see the models, you see the MCP servers, but you also see the connected governance modules to which those are connected, like PII or prompt injection blocking or system prompt leakage, grounding verification, etc. And that's where in that AI BOM, you would have recorded the version of this module that you were using, and create the automation around it. Now, in our case, we look at what is the best out there. We also have proprietary versions of these modules within the governance runtime enforcement. But regardless of how you are constructing that, whether it's a proprietary module in governance or this OpenAI one, you would want to maintain these things like we were talking about, like the checksum, the hash of the version of this, where it's coming from, the origin, the risk profile associated with it, and institute automation as that component updates. Like, I'm not going to update it immediately after an update of their repository, because even if it's coming from OpenAI and it's not spoofed, it can still be compromised, and you don't want to be on that bleeding edge. So I hope that helps.
Yeah. And in fact, like when I think about this one, I was reading about this one over the past week or so. After I came back from vacation, I saw like there are like 3 areas where the ball got dropped, right? And I have like high regards for developer community and security community at the same time. But I think on the developer side of things, I think everything that we do about the training and training in terms of what are the best practice, I think the ball got dropped. I think there are a lot of red flags in that one, which says, okay, you go from something which is already embedded in the code, and now you have like instruction that you need to run like a batch file and a shell, which was not there since privacy filter was there, right? So that is one. The second thing is absence of process or controls, having some sort of system which can actually enforce. And the third would be having some sort of a filter at a web proxy level, right? If you have like a saying, okay, if it's a young domain itself, it has been not even, I think that would not apply here because it's part of Hugging Face itself. But I think there is some sort of signal you can actually pick up from that one. I think there are multiple things that were dropped that could have been addressed. I think for me, the biggest thing is it took almost maybe 4 hours or 6 hours before it got detected. And it's a big red flag because these days it takes 19, maybe 35 seconds for a breach to happen. If you have your credentials which are leaked out in the public itself, if you're a big organization, let's say Netflix or any other company which actually goes and downloads without even realizing the risk of that one, you have like a big exposure itself. And I like what you actually talked about, the cooldown period itself, right? In NPM, you can have like a set a cooldown for maybe for a day or maybe 2 weeks, for example, right, before you start consuming that one. So having those kind of policies becomes very important. So let me ask one question, right? There is a lot of conversation about let's actually put like an AIBOM together, and you're creating one of those. How can people in the audience itself who are listening right now are going to be listening toward the tail end? How can they get access to Prediction Guard? How can they actually play around with AIBOM itself, right? Is there a free trial or something that they can actually have access to? How do the people get started on this?
Yeah, well, the first thing that I want to tease is there may be some in the audience or some that would listen to the recording that are going to be at DEF CON or Black Hat. There's going to be a live workshop at DEF CON organized by OWASP AIBOM, Prediction Guard. The team is going to be there. That's a first great place if you're not familiar with this to get hands-on. You'll be able to get into the system, actually output AIBOM files, and there's going to be a portion of the workshop where we actually simulate this sort of scenario where something is poisoned within the supply chain. How do you detect it within the AI bomb? What does that look like? And so it's going to be a fun experience also for people. So that's number one. I would say if at all possible, make it there to the DEF CON workshop. I believe we'll be posting the link in the LinkedIn Live, and certainly be posting on LinkedIn about that, and also on the OWASP AI bomb. So you should be able to find it in a number of places. So that's number one. Is a great place to do that. I think the second way, we're working directly with the OWASP AI bomb project. We don't want to be developing an isolated silo, right? So hopefully the work that we do together will be able to publish some examples of this, or even tooling around the AI bomb that you could look at. And then the third, the easiest way for us to understand what you're after and for you to get hands-on is just to go to predictionguard.com. You'll notice a Getting Started tab there. You can click that. We'll just hop on a quick call with you. You can get Prediction Guard up and running. I was spinning it up today on my laptop. It took two minutes to download everything and spin it up. And you can add some models and create an AI bomb. So yeah, would encourage people, if they are interested in kind of the implications in those buckets, the supply chain, runtime governance, observability, definitely reach out to us. Predictionguard.com. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I was about. And for the LinkedIn, sorry, not the LinkedIn Live, the workshop, what date and what time is it on?
Yeah, so I believe it's an evening during DEF CON. Maybe if they're posting in the LinkedIn live chat, I think they'll post the link. So hopefully that's getting posted, or someone can let me know on Slack right now. But it's during DEF CON. It'll be in one of the evenings. And we'll have a nice environment with, I think, some food as well, and a great run of show for people to get hands-on and actually try things. So you won't be bombarded with a bunch of slides. Maybe there'll be a few slides, but then we want you to get hands-on. That's the goal.
Yeah, I'm like, you made me excited, even though it's a little tricky for me to be in DEF CON, but this is a good enough reason for me to actually fly down there, attend one of these particular sessions, because DEF CON has so many different areas, different villages that are happening, right?
Yeah.
This is something that comes close to the heart, to the passion for many individuals who are looking to get into AI security itself, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're excited about it.
And funny enough that you actually touched upon agent observability again. I promise that it's going to be a different LinkedIn Live, but you have, again, a very side questions. You don't have to answer if you don't want, but do you have any aspirations to get into AG bomb space itself, agentic bill of material?
Yeah. Very interesting question. And I did just get the message, confirm it is August 6th. From 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time at DEF CON. So August 6th for those that are looking for it and are going to be there. But yeah, in terms of the agent bill of materials, or, different people have different names around this. We were talking a little bit before the LinkedIn Live, and I think you're right that there's a different scope of things that needs to be tracked related to agent context, goal drift, agent identity, how agents are tied into certain sandbox environments, which we saw was very important in the recent hack with Hugging Face from OpenAI. But yeah, so these things are maybe not what people have been thinking as much about in terms of the component and risk associated with those of the AI bomb. I think you could go one of two ways, right? It could be a supplement or a separate thing that is the agent bill of materials, or it could be a subsection of the AI bomb, right? Regardless, I think of whether it is the same file or a different file or format, I think both are intricately connected, right? Because like I say, the agent security and its behavior are tied so heavily into how that agent is supported by the distributed system of components, the environment which it's running in, like the sandbox it's running in, its own identity within that system, and how it can traverse and utilize that system. So I think both have to be there, right? And both interact with one another. Whether they end up in the industry in a single thing or two things, I think is an open question.
Interesting. So I think we are coming on top of the hour itself. I just want to actually close out the LinkedIn Live by two things, right? One, of course, I want you to actually do some closing thoughts in terms of where you see the AI's industries right now, and what do you foresee happening, say, 6 months from now, or maybe a year from now, right? Are you optimistic? Are you apprehensive, at least from a security standpoint?
Yeah. I think the way that I see things advancing, which is happening more and more rapid every week, is an advance towards not a human paired with an agent like we see. I'm using Claude Code or I'm using OpenClaw, but fleets or swarms of agents that are operating autonomously within a company's infrastructure. We already see this. I already hear this in calls with actual real companies, right? And this is what we're going to see as companies adopting this kind of digital workforce of agents that are operating autonomously. And when you have hundreds, when you have thousands of agents operating autonomously in your infrastructure, there's actually no way for a human to govern the behavior of those agents without giving autonomy to other agents to help manage your fleet, right? It's a similar what we're seeing in cybersecurity. You just can't keep up in the cybersecurity world now with the pace of vulnerabilities if you're not utilizing agents to help in your kind of AI SOC. So I see this more generally happening where we're going to need autonomy to actually make decisions about how to update governance policies, make decisions even about the supply chain in an autonomous way. Of course, ultimately with override by humans, and humans kind of on the loop rather than in the loop always. So that's how I see things evolving, and that's the future picture towards which we're building at Prediction Guard.
Interesting. And again, one pitch to people who are watching, who are going to be watching the recording itself. If you're a practitioner, if you're a CISO, if you are a vendor sponsoring companies, if you want to actually partake, as we are looking to address the AIBOM adoption within the organization, definitely visit OWASP, AIBOM.org. Simple one word, OWASP, AIBOM.org itself, and come. We have a lot of exciting work streams which are in the works, ranging from policy to foundational best practices to engaging the quality, doing the quality checks to threat intel. Now AIBOM is another one that we started, right? So I highly encourage, and we're going to post something in the comments after the LinkedIn Live is done. More and more exciting stuff coming. And then thanks for actually spending your afternoon with us. This has been very exciting and very interesting conversation itself. Hopefully it resonates with a lot of people who are watching us.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great conversation. Thanks for organizing and for what you're doing with the OWASP AIBOM.
Thank you.